Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Obviously, there was no video yesterday. I was a little bit busy, but we got to talk about, obviously, the big story here is CleanSpark and Marathon. Their production updates for May were outstanding. So we'll get into those. We'll also take a look at how Bitcoin did yesterday and how it's doing today, along with the miners how they did yesterday. And then we'll get into, obviously, CleanSpark and Marathon, okay? But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. If you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now is actually down right now. It was up yesterday, 1.57%. It closed at 27,250. The markets were also up yesterday. S&P was up 1.45%. Dow Jones was up 2.12%. And NASDAQ was up 2.36%. The debt ceiling looks like there's going to be fine. Also, the jobs report came in better than, I guess, was expected. So that also kind of fueled things as well. And that possibly might lead to, a pause in the rate hikes from the Fed. But we'll see. Okay, right now, Bitcoin is... Well, it's kind of trading off of the 20-day moving average right now. We can see here, which is the yellow line. And we've been bouncing to it and bouncing from it. It's kind of it's acting as a rejection point right now for us. And then the 200 weekly moving average, which is our red line over here, is acting as our support. So we keep bouncing off of that and, getting up to these other lines here. We'll see how long this goes and we'll see where it gets us. But right now on the forward chart, we can see that the RSI is currently at 46, 47 or so. Last time we were back here, price was actually about the same spot. So really no difference on that one. So really have indirection or indifference as far as which way you want to go on Bitcoin price. On the 1 hour chart, we can see we're at 47 also. Last time we were back here, price was actually a little higher right there. So that leads me to believe that we might be going back down a little bit more, but we'll see if we get a reversal on that as well. Okay, Ethereum on the other hand, let's take a look at that one here on the daily as well. That one is right now... So that one is at 1,891. We were up yesterday, 2.42%. We're down right now, 0.84% on that one. And right now, it looks like the 50-day moving average and the 20-day moving averages are acting as support. We are bouncing off of those on Ethereum at least. We'll see where that gets us going forward as well, okay? As far as the miners are concerned here, Annie was up 6.89% on the day. Let's get rid of these lines so we can see the chart a little better. Argo was actually up 3.25% as well. BitDigital was down 3.76%. Bitfarms was flat on the day. Cypher was up 2.38%. CleanSpark was down 3.94%. Core Scientific was up 1.37%. DigiHost was down 3.62%. DMG was up 3.16%. Greenidge was down 2.24%. Hive was down 0.91%. Hut 8 was flat on the day. Iris Energy was down 2.23%. Marathon was up 0.4%. Mawson was up 3.25%. Riot was down 5.64%. Soluna was up 16.12%. Stronghold was down 4.48%. Wolf was down 1.32%. And the miners were basically mixed on the day. Surprisingly, Bitcoin was up. I would have expected the miners to be up as well, but it didn't end up that way, okay? So that's what we got here on the miners. Let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick as well while we're at it. See what's going on there. We'll refresh this really quick. And we can see that the network hash rate is down a little bit here to the 370 million mark on the 7-day average. And the 1-day average is currently at, I was bouncing back up here a little bit to 417 million right now. Our previous high was 440 million, okay? So we'll keep an eye on that, see how this progresses going forward. With Marathon having a lot of miners being ready and installed and just need to be energized basically, along with CleanSpark here, we're going to be adding quite a bit here in the next 6 months. We'll see what impact that has on the network hash rate as well, and I'm sure there's going to be other miners that are doing it as well. So we'll keep an eye on that one, okay? So that's it for those things. Let's take a look at our first story here, which is going to be on CleanSpark. So CleanSpark releases May 2023 Bitcoin mining update, and here's what we have for them. Here's a quote from Zach Bradford. "We achieved a significant milestone during the month of May. Not only do we continue to increase the amount of Bitcoin in our treasury, but we also surpassed 100 million in revenue for our fiscal year to date. Importantly, we achieved this milestone with the bulk of our expansion expected to come later this year." And that is true, and that's a great accomplishment there for them, already reaching 100 million. Additionally, the amount of Bitcoin we mined this month exceeded expectations, largely due to an increase in operational efficiency and a brief, albeit significant increase in transaction fees. Yeah, it was like 5 days or so, 5 to 6 days, where those fees really amounted to a lot, where it was more than the reward, which was at 6.25. It was actually above that sometimes as well. So it was double the rewards that some of these guys were getting, which was great. And then May Bitcoin mining update. So they mined a total of 609 Bitcoins. Total BTC holdings as of May 31st is 451. Total BTC converted for operations and growth in May was 471. So they sold that many. and then currently deployed fleet of about 67,000 latest generation Bitcoin miners with a hash rate of 6.7 exahash. And that's kind of what they've been stuck there for the last 3 months or so. They have done a lot of purchases, which will be coming in the second half of this year. Operational updates. So Washington, the 50 megawatt expansion continues to track according to projected timeline, despite a series of rain delays that temporarily slowed down progress. Miners are arriving daily, with all units expected to be at the facility by the end of the month. Racking has begun, and energization is expected to begin in the second half of June. So that's good. We'll see how much they get up and running in there. So June should be a better month as far as growth is concerned. And then when we get into, obviously, July, August, September, October, November, December, we should see huge increases for them as long as they get the miners in and the expansions going on time. Sandersville, crews are making headway in preparing the land for the company's expansion at its Sandersville site. The planned expansion will add over 6 exahash to CleanSpark mining operations, so that's at least progressing as well. Right, that's going to be where a majority of their new machines are going to be going into, so that's the part that has to be built out, and hopefully they can build it out on time and get the miners installed in there, okay? So let's take a look at the numbers that we do have for them here. And if we look at, this is CleanSpark here. CleanSpark is, I think this price might be a little bit old here. It might be a day or two old. I didn't update this yet, so I will update this later on. But shares outstanding is about 112 million right now. Stock price is $4.32. Market cap is about 486 million as it is. Current hash rate is going to be about 6.7. Future hash rate, they do have miners to get them to 17.5, 17.6 roughly. But they did state in their release on Thursday that they're going to possibly use some of the newer miners that they're getting in to get rid of some of the older miners that they have. And we talked about it at that video. You guys can take a look at that one when you have time. Okay, hash rate left basically about 10.8 exahash to install. That represents about 162% growth for them. BTC HODL is 451 Bitcoin. Their BTC HODL value is about 12.4 million right now, based on the Bitcoin price where it's at right now. Then you can see here that they've done pretty well here in the last 12 weeks. Had you bought 12 weeks ago, you'd be up 103%. 8 weeks ago, you'd be up 73%. 4 weeks, you'd be up just 0.7. And then this past week, or actually this wasn't this past week, it was 2 weeks ago, you'd be up 0.24. So we'll get this updated also this weekend, see how the miners stacked up against Bitcoin. Here's our BTC production. Their best month was in January at 697 Bitcoin. They were kind of up and down here the last couple months. Then nice little increase here in May. Network hash rate has been going up, which results in less Bitcoin being mined. But the network fees have definitely improved here for them. 609 Bitcoin in May was really good. And then you guys can see these charts over here. Month over month difference BTC mined. So they mined 85 more Bitcoin than they did the previous month. The previous month they actually mined 74 less. So an increase is always good. BTC HODL has also been growing here. They went down to about 100 BTC in their HODL position in February, and they've been increasing that ever since then. So we've had a nice climb here as far as Bitcoin HODL is, which is good to see as well. So they do have cash that they can use to buy more miners, pay off debt, pay down debt, whatever they want to do with it. Bitcoin efficiency, so BTC per exahash has come up here to 90.9 for them for the month of May. We'll take a look at the numbers that we have down below for them as far as how many days they were mining and things like that, and I'll explain some things. Then Bitcoin sold, here you can see how much they've been selling. They've been selling, well, every month pretty much for a long time to fund growth and operations, which is great to see as well. And let's see your hash rate. You can see hash rate has steadied out here for the last 5 months or so. They were in January at 6.6. February was 6.6 as well. March, they had a slight increase here to 6.7, and that stayed the same for the last 3 months. So we should see an increase here coming in June when they do report that. And you can also see their monthly revenue. Monthly revenue has continued to go up here month over month. And you can see here that they were last year at 9.97 million compared to the 16.74 million that they are in May of this year. That is largely because of the growth that they've had in their hash rate. And you can see May was at 2.5 exahash. They are 3 times that. Their revenue has increased as well because of that. So that has helped out. Hash rate growth month over month. Nothing here. You can see Bitcoin sold value. So they sold about 12.9 million worth of Bitcoin here in the last month. And you guys have seen this before. We've talked about these metrics as well. You guys can take a look at them here, but I'm not going to talk about them. Let's get into some of the raw data that we do have here for them. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting as far as the miners that are going to be getting installed here. So they reported June 1st, which was on Thursday, that they're buying in another 12,500 of the XP miners. That gets them another 1.76 exahash roughly. But they did state that they might get rid of some of the older miners, which would be these 86 terahash miners, 88. possibly the 96 here as well. They also have some 95 over here. So if they get rid of those, that would get them down to 6.4 exahash or 16.4 exahash in total, I think, somewhere around there. Okay, that was on the miners. Now, as far as main production is, basically, in order to come up to the value that they actually possibly estimated value of 16.7 million based on Bitcoin average price for the month of May, you can see here that they generated 16.747 million possibly with the 609 Bitcoin being mined. With us to get there, I actually had to have all the miners running here full time, 31 days in the month with no breaks. And then the added extra transaction fees added about 2.1 million to them, to their bottom line, basically. So it was a nice bonus, basically, for them to get that. Okay, so that's how that's being calculated here. And when we go back up over here, we'll take a look at some of the institutions' ratings. So institutions did decrease here a little bit to 162 institutions, but shares did increase here to 35.5 million compared to 25.9. But percentage went down to 31.7, and that's mainly because of the dilution that we've had for the growth that we're going to be seeing here in the next half of a year. Okay, we still have one strong buy rating, three buy ratings. Price targets still stay the same at $12 for the high, $8 for the average, $6 for the low from analysts. I have them at pretty much right around where they have them at right now. We're looking at the current quarter revenue potentially being about 46.1 million, right? That's if we look at it based on the numbers that we have here for them. April was about 15.1, May was about 16, where June's guessing is going to be around 14. So we're looking at about 46.1 million in revenue for that. Combined with the last 3 quarters that we have, those are all actual numbers for them that they reported. We got 26, 27, 42. So that's those numbers combined. And the total is 142.5 million in total that they have for the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in potentially. 50% net income from gross revenue with a P of 20. I'm looking at least $12.65 for them. This is where I think they should be fairly valued. And this is based on the number of shares that they have currently out. And if we look at 75% net income, we're looking at $18.97, right? So, and they're currently at $4.32. Yeah, I think they're completely way undervalued to where they should be, okay? Based on their growth and everything else, I think the only thing that's kind of a hindrance to the stock price is the fear of the dilution of shares. But even if we dilute shares, let's say they dilute shares by another, let's just say another 50 million, right? So we'll get to, what is that going to be, 162 million? So let's just do that. 162, 123, 123. Okay, 162 million. That would get them to a market cap with the current price of $4.32. Market cap would be about 700 million right now. But looking at the numbers here, that would still get us to $8.80 to $13.22. So I still believe that they are way undervalued on that. They should be at least double where they are right now, if not even higher than that. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that number that we do have here. I think they should be closer to about $1 billion in valuation based on where Marathon is and where Ride is as well, right? Marathon's going to be about 22 point something exahash. Ride's going to be about 12.3 exahash, I believe, when everything is said and done. They're supposed to be about 16 point something exahash. They're right in the middle between those two, and those guys are definitely valued much higher than where CleanSpark is. So that's kind of where my head is right now. Okay, so I'm looking at these, specifically CleanSpark here, to buy any dips that I can, if I have the funds to do it. If we see any deep dips in the stock price, we'll pick up some more, as long as it makes sense, obviously. Not financial advice, you guys have to do your own research as always, but this is kind of what I'm doing, and I definitely love the way that these guys are growing. So I'm looking to put in some more. All right, that's it for that one. Let me know what you guys think of CleanSpark down in the comments below, and we'll chat down there. Okay, finally, let's take a look at Marathon here really quick as well. So Marathon also had a fantastic May production, and here's what it says. So Marathon Digital Holdings announces Bitcoin production and mining operation updates for May 2023. Produced a record 1,245 Bitcoins in May 2023 and 4,141 BTC year to date. So that's good. Increased operational hash rate 9% to 15.2 exahash and installed hash rate 13% to 20.1 exahash in May of 2023. So they have quite a bit, about almost 5 exahash that they just need to energize and get ready to mine. So that might be coming in here in June. We'll see if that happens. Excuse me. They raised also nearly 800,000 for Bitcoin core developers in collaboration with Brink. I thought this was great for them to do. This definitely helps out the core developers. And then reported unrestricted cash and cash equivalents of 97.3 million and increased unrestricted Bitcoin holdings to 12,259, valued roughly about 333 million as of May 31st, which is also pretty good there, which is really good, which is the biggest hodl that out of all the miners here, except for Hot 8 is pretty close up there as well. Okay, management commentary. We produced a record 1,245 Bitcoin in May, up 77% from last month and 366% from May of 2022, which is a nice improvement there, very nice improvement. The increased production was due to an increase in hash rate and a significant increase in transaction fees, which accounted for approximately 11.8% of the total Bitcoin we earned in the last month, said Fred Thiel. The emergence of ordinals significantly increased transaction fees in May, which in some cases were so high that they exceeded the 6.25 BTC block reward. Yeah, we've seen block rewards where they were getting 13 total. Block rewards were around 12, 13, somewhere around there at the high end. And then with our scale and our improved uptime during the month, we were able to capitalize on this opportunity. While such abnormally high transaction fees are historically rare, we believe these events can serve as a positive sign for the future of Bitcoin mining economics, which I agree. So eventually, in 100 years or so, Bitcoin is basically not going to be mined. I mean, you're going to be mining fractions of Bitcoin, basically Satoshis at that point. And it is believed that by that time, the transaction fees will account for the majority of the revenue that these guys are making instead of rewards. Right? So we need, depending on where Bitcoin price is at, everything else, we may need to be processing maybe, I don't know what that number is going to be, 15, 20 million, if not higher, per day on the network itself. Okay, possibly even way higher than that. Based in 100 years, inflation, everything else, probably looking more like 100 million or something like that. Okay, so that's all the numbers that we have here. You guys can look over this, some of the highlights, donation thing. So we have all the information that we need, their exahash and what they mined. They did sell a little bit here, I believe. Let's see here. They sold, well, we'll get into it here. Based on my calculations, these are what they sold. Okay, so that's that one. Let's take a look at Marathon here. Where are they? Marathon. Got a lot of stuff here. There we go. Marathon. Okay, scroll to the top. Marathon has about 167 million shares outstanding. Stock price is about $9.97 and change. Market cap is about 1.6 million. Their current hash rate is 15.2. Total hash rate is supposed to be at 24.3. They still have about 60% growth left on them. And you can see here that the stock has done pretty good here in the last 12 weeks. So you bought 12 weeks ago, it's up 67%. 8 weeks, it's up 11.9. 4 weeks, not so good, negative 14.9, and then 1 week, negative 2.27. BTC production, you can see that they have definitely bottomed out here in July of last year, 72 Bitcoins per month. Had a nice increase here towards October, 615, then they fell down a little bit, and they started to climb back up here. March was 825, April was 702, and now 1,245 for May, which is really, really good. Okay, you can see the other charts over here. Monthly difference of Bitcoin mined, 543 increase from the prior month, which is great to see. Bitcoin hodl has also been growing here. They reached 12,232 in December. Started selling some in January, February, March, and April and May. They sold, it looks like, about 554 Bitcoins in May right now, but that stack is still starting to grow for them. So that's good. Then Bitcoin BTC per exahash efficiency at 81.9. They did install quite a bit of miners here. That's always going to hurt them a little bit. Hash rate, you can see here that they've had a nice increase in hash rate ever since of last year, since June and July. They definitely upped it to 3.2 exahash, 3.7, 7, 7.3, 9.5, 11.5, 14, 15.2. Those are massive growths for them. So that's great to see. And you can also see that in being reflected in the revenue. So they were at July of 1.5 million in revenue only. They got up to 12.08 in October, came down a little bit here in November, December. They've done some curtailing during that period of time. And then you can see here how it's continuing to go up here for the most part, except for April was a little bit down month for them. But now we're looking at about 34 million in revenue for them for the month of May alone, which is huge. Hash rate difference, you can see all the hash rate increases that they've seen here. Bitcoin sold, they sold a lot in January, 30 million. And then they've been averaging about 16 to 15 million or so through the last 4 months roughly. Now, you can also see the last 4 quarters of revenue here. We talked about this in the past. This current quarter looks like it's going to be about 85.9 million in revenue, almost 100 million. That's a huge improvement for them from where they were in Q3 of last year, 12.69 million. And then last 4 quarters of operating costs have increased a little bit here, but well, doubled from Q4. But that's mostly because of the amount of hash rate that they have online now. So that's always going to trigger things. Okay, you guys can look at other things here as well. We'll get back to these. Institutions have increased here to 322. Shares also increased to 55.5 million shares. That represent about 33.24% of their shares. We still have 1 strong buy rating, 2 buy ratings, 3 hold ratings. Price target is $20 to $14.30 and $8 for the low. And then let's take a look at the raw data here. For May, it looks like they installed, based on my numbers here, roughly about 8,575 miners, give or take a little bit here, of the 140 terahash miners, the XPs. That got them to the 15.2 exahash, and we had to add to them 1.9 million in revenue to get them to the number of 34.2 million, which is calculated based on the amount of Bitcoin that they mined, average Bitcoin price as it was. We're looking at, what was it, over here, yep, 34.236. Do I have that? 34.236. 34,236, yep, so about 1.94 million to them. And they could have curtailed some during the month as well. I don't know that. It makes it a little bit more difficult when they add machines. And then especially with the transaction fees being added to it, makes it even more difficult to figure out where did they actually curtail, how much did they curtail, or anything like that. So this is just the best I could figure out. I'm guessing they probably curtailed a little bit more, considering that CleanSpark got 2.1 million roughly in transaction fees. I'm sure they probably got more than that and probably just curtailed some more. I could probably do the numbers a little bit here to get them down to 30 days or something like that. As you can see here that they've curtailed for the most part every single month here. They were 21 days of mining in April, 26 days in March, 23 days in February. So if we bring them down to that, put average around there, around maybe like 25 days or something like that, then we would see this number pop back up much higher based on that. Okay, but this is kind of just the only way I could calculate it really. Okay, so that's how that's being calculated. So you guys are aware of that. And let's take a look at the numbers that I do have here for them. So currently I have them at current quarter about 85.9 million. Let me see if that's correct here. Am I putting the right? Yep, 85.9 million roughly. And then we're using the last 3 quarters of data, which is actual numbers. That's 92.2 million. So combined total is going to be 178 million roughly for the last 4 quarters, or this quarter and the last 3. 50% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $10.64 with a P of 20. And then 75% net income, we're looking at $15.97. They're at $9.99. I think they are I think they are still undervalued from where they should be really, with the hash rate that they do have and everything else. So that's with the P of 20, $10.64. They're at almost $10. I think they're undervalued. I think they could be catching a little bit more of a premium as well instead of a P of 20. I think they might be able to get up to P of 30, which would get us to about $15.97 to $23.95, which would be on the higher end of, well, pretty close to that institution's NLS ratings of $20 to $8 in range, somewhere around there. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I think they are still undervalued, but we'll see how the stock does. I think once they get up to the numbers and they provide some good quarters, good months, and everything else going forward, I think stock will do better going forward, especially if Bitcoin goes up. All right, so Bitcoin goes up in value, these guys will definitely do really well. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. We'll obviously chat down there, and I think that is it. Other than that, as always, the spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Also, thank you to all the YouTube members as well. I'll get these out to you guys, if not tonight, tomorrow at the latest. All these figures, and then we'll see what happens over the weekend as well. We also will take a look at Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners for the past week, see how they did compared to each other, and then we'll see what other stories we do have coming up. I may do a couple stories on Backed, also looking into MicroStrategy as well. I'm looking into that. So once I'm done with all those, I'll get those videos out as well. Okay, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me tremendously. And then if you guys would also be kind to spread this out on social networks, that would help me out as well. And then that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.